Hello everyone, Keza here today, and I'm going to be going over the second half of Christmas 2019. Some different characters I used than the first half. Also towards the end of the video I'll be going over some things I'm doing with the new client. Yes, I'm finally making the transition to the UO Classic client, just because it's now has a new updater and stuff. I'll be showing that later. But anyways, right now, this is my Axer, who I had a lot of fun with, hunting elves, and, well, it's hard to tell, was I hunting them or were they hunting me? I mean, I died a lot on this character, but that's kind of a theme that goes with all my videos, is I get killed half the time. The dragons you're seeing here are not mine. It's actually from two other players who showed up before I could even come to help recover myself, which just goes to show you that this Christmas event was very active in the dungeons. It was actually kind of difficult to run through the dungeons and find elves alive sometimes, just because there were so many people online, like all the time, killing elves. But if I went to some of the more remote dungeons, like here in Fire, I was able to do pretty well with my Aussie Tank Axer. But under the more fun stuff, there were 2 town invasions during the weekends that happened on the outskirts of Brit. So I'm going to get right into the footage of that, one of which I did with my, of course, Frenzied Ostards, to try that and see how it went. Fun fact about the event, I did help design the majority of the monsters for it. There's a lot of time spent on test server. I've actually spent lots of time on test server in the past 6 months, designing various things from monsters to lighting to other various things. Anyways, this event was a lot of fun. Miscommunication between Telemon and I as to things like statue names and colors, so I don't even know how many different statue types came out of this event. But it was fun. All the monsters came out pretty much as I intended them to. Everything worked out very nicely, and it's always really fun if I'm able to take part in the event that I help make. Just because I make these things and I test them on test server, but how players will actually interact with them and how quickly things will die, I don't really know. So it's a good thing Telemon's doing all of the spawning and stuff on live server, because yeah, I don't know how many he would spawn and stuff. So I just get a rough setup for all this stuff, and then he runs the whole thing on live server. I guess I might as well say it. I haven't said it in any of my videos previously. I am quote-unquote a helper or volunteer now. I kind of fell into the position through running all of my random player run events, starting with the Cerberus event a year ago, and then, you know, the Pirate Tamers and the Mystic Quest and all that stuff. Just slowly over time I've gotten more and more opportunities to help here and there, as the staff has very limited time. And I mean, everything you're seeing here, from the snow and ice and lighting and all the custom monsters, that's all stuff I've been helping with. And I mean, if I didn't make all of this stuff on test server, it would never have appeared in live server. So I'm just grateful I'm able to help out with this stuff and make something happen that's more interesting and fun than just, you know, it is fun to hunt the elves and whatnot, but I like to take it a step further and add that something extra. So I wouldn't be spending tons and tons of time on test server doing all this stuff if it wasn't fun for me either. So yeah, all around I think it was great stuff. Doing the Frenzied, and then I also did it with the Scorpion pack, which I found to be a better solution for this event, because there's just so much stuff spawning, and there's so many people here with dragons, that if I can get my scorpions to land a deadly poison on one of the monsters or bosses and then stand at a range and be able to consistently hit it with a slayer, I was actually getting top damage on a lot of the bosses and stuff. So it worked out better to do the scorpions than the Frenzied, which wasn't usually what happened. But man, this event had like 200 people at it for one of them. I don't know if it was for both, but yeah, it was a big success. I also used the scorpions to hunt elves in the desert in T2A. A good location for them because it's a bit safer and there's wide open spaces so the tames don't block you. I also took my frenzied out to Death Starred, which is a bit more difficult location, and when things go wrong in Death Star, they usually go wrong in a very big way, and that happened to me more than once there, but it's expected. The rest of the time, when I wasn't getting slaughtered there, it did go pretty well. I should definitely mention how useful I found a Provo mage this year. In previous years I'd kind of used them, but this year I had my mage with Provo, Discordance, and of course GM Magery to cast energy vortexes. And that build is actually really effective for doing this. It has a little trouble with some of the elf mages because they'll dispel the energy vortexes, but if you can just cast enough Blade Spirits and then throw an EV down, they have trouble dispelling all of it at the same time. So you can get around that, but otherwise, I mean, you can see it's a pretty effective way to go about it, and you don't have to build up any Slayers or make any Tamers or anything really. If you're a newer player, this is actually a really good way to go about getting some elf kills in. It's all just skills you straight up train, Magery being the most expensive and difficult one in the build. The rest can just be done with macros. So yeah, it's pretty effective. Moving on to the next build, which is my bears. This is my weird character that's a mage Dexer that uses polar bears. Still pretty good build. The polar bears don't do additional damage to any of these elves or the other bears outside of instances, but within instances they do double damage to the enemy bears. Anyways, you can see here this is actually with the new UO Classic client. It runs much more smoothly in appearance than the old client does, which is definitely a big upside to it. One of the small downsides is that unlike the old client that had been around for ages and it was like very reliable, this one is like 98% reliable. So I haven't used it until now because as time goes on it's getting more and more reliable. I'd say maybe it's almost 99% now. It still has crashes. It doesn't have like 100% compatibility with everyone's system, of course. So they're still working out some bugs with it, as you would expect with any kind of new client or program or whatever. But I'm using it now because it's almost completely there. So it's definitely good enough for me, and they did fix the lighting issues it was having, which was definitely an issue for me. So yeah, for the most part, I have been having fun going around with this for the last week or two, I'd say. Definitely some advantages to using this over the old one. It'll sync with your Razor macros much more smoothly. You'll have a lot less fails with your restock agents. There's also the fancy screen zooming, better highlighted targeting things. You can set just so many cool custom things through the options here that were not available in any way with the previous client. So yeah, definitely a superior client now. Anyways, yeah, the bears killing elves, lots of fun. Man, I also had an elf kill me while using this build, and wow, it was fast. I just got to show you guys this. So first I attack the caster elf, and then I leave myself open to the axer thinking he might attack one of my tames, but nope, comes up 51 and a 57 right one after the other. I had never gotten hit so hard so quickly like that by a standard elf. But yeah, that's most of the highlights for my second half of Christmas using an axer and some tames. Also got a chance to take part in a few public scrolls. There were a whole lot run, but I wasn't able to make the timing for many of them. Thanks to the players who put those on. And yeah, I'm still doing the turn-ins for the ancient tomes, as I'm also still putting those in the game here and there. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them here on the forums. Hopefully I see you guys around sometime in game. Later.